criminals.
Speaker.
Thank you, Member. I call the member for Buderim.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I rise to address the expanding adult crime, adult time and taking a strong stance on drugs and antisocial behaviour amendment bill, an important bill that goes to delivering on our election commitment of making Queensland safer. A bill that is all about ensuring there are fewer victims of crime. And I want to acknowledge the work of both the committee led by the member for Nicklin and the minister responsible as they have delivered the next tranche of improvements to address what has been a long-standing issue here in Queensland. And I'll get to Labor's record in time, Mr Deputy Speaker, but let's talk to the bill a little bit first. And I think adult crime, adult time, what we're seeing is a progressive improvement, a reduction in the number of victims. Is there more work to be done? Absolutely. But are we stemming the tide of increased offending, 193% increase, and that's Labor's record, Mr Deputy Speaker. Under our government, victim numbers have fallen by 7.2%, and it's not good enough. There are still too many victims, but we are reversing a tide that has taken a considerable amount of effort and a considerable amount of work to be able to reverse after a decade of Labor failure. And for those to come in here and play cute political games, trying to find a reason to vote against this bill, and let's be frank, what we saw on Tuesday was exactly that. Labor cannot bring themselves to support this bill because they don't believe in it. Their heart is genuinely not in siding with victims over criminals. And I haven't been in this parliament that long, but in the short time I've been in this parliament, I've seen it time and time again. I've seen then Labor ministers proudly removing detention as a last resort. I've seen members of, and the member for Chatsworth just spoke about some of those members, suggesting that youth crime was a media beat-up. Now, thankfully, the community passed judgment on that government and those members, and now Queensland has a government that is genuinely focused on addressing the scourge of youth crime and of antisocial behaviour as well, and I'll turn to those provisions as they relate to this bill in a minute. But on adult crime, adult time, this bill brings in an additional 12 serious offences. These are offences, while in some cases not particularly common, they are serious offences against the person that deliberately target an individual, and they should be. Individuals who perpetuate those crimes should be held to account for their offending in a way that is reflective of community expectation, and that's what our adult crime, adult time approach seeks to do. It seeks to provide the courts with a mechanism to be able to sentence reflective of community expectations. And I, as a local member, think it's incumbent on all of us in our society to listen to the voices of our community, and that includes the judiciary. And I'd suggest that some of the rulings that we have seen over recent years are not reflective of community expectation, and hence why our government will continue to address the shortfalls in the legislative framework as it relates to youth crime established by the Labor government. Secondly, this bill also scraps Labor's failed three-strike soft on drugs policy, and it restores consequences for action. When that legislation was introduced in this House, I spoke against that legislation and I spoke about the consequence. I spoke about the fact that it would make it harder for those nurses and doctors working in ED to do their job. I spoke about the fact that it would result in greater social harm and disorder and offending against the person, because that is exactly what we have seen as a consequence of Labor's soft on crime, soft on drugs approach. And the new illicit drug enforcement and diversion framework provides a mechanism for an individual who needs help, should it be for personal use and a minor drug, to seek help. In the event that it's not their 15th offence, in the event that they're not selling it to multiple other parties, in the event that they are not an individual who consistently offends and puts our community at risk. I'll stop very shortly, but I do want to address the issue of antisocial behaviour on the Sunshine Coast. And I want to call out the member for Nicklin's advocacy, particularly in Nambour, but this is an issue that has affected multiple areas across the state. I'm pleased to see our government tackling this important issue, and I commend the bill.
Thank you, Member. I'll call the member.
Acting Speaker. Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. I want to make a very short contribution.